Hey guys, we have arrived at a new year, and I personally do think energetically this year is also bridging us into our new age. I think that as we go throughout the course of this year, and it may be happening sooner than later, we're going to begin to realize that, we're not in Kansas anymore, that things have changed, that, nothing's really how it used to be, and that it doesn't look like we're going back, okay? This month of January is an epic turning point. Major significant astrology going on, you guys. Perhaps, some of the most significant stuff playing out that has happened in maybe like 15, 20 years or so. We have Pluto entering Aquarius, January 20th, 21st. We also have Uranus stationing direct in the month of January. And we've just got a lot of big time astrology going on. The new moons and the full moons are also highly impactful this month of January. And I do feel like, we are at that fulcrum point, like we're about to cross the line in the sand. We're about to cross the Rubicon, you know what I mean? Things are changing, and this is probably going to be a month where that process really gets rolling in some capacity. There's so much to talk about, honestly, playing out throughout the course of this month. I'm gonna try to wade slowly into the energy as I feel like we are doing energetically, and the transits are also indicating as we enter the month. There's definitely sort of a need to conserve energy, be a bit more reserved, have maybe some quiet time as we enter the month of January. But by the time we get to the end of the month, this is like a hypercharged spastic energy, and things may just be wiling out all over the place. Very strong Uranian influence. Very strong. Also, we have a Mars-Mercury conjunction that is in a trine to Uranus for 3 days. As we get to the end of the month, that is going to be hypercharging everything. So as we start this report and as we start the month of January, it's going to be important to pace ourselves. You know what I mean? We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. There's a lot of this very strong Jupiter energy still going on in the month of January. A tendency to overdo things, maybe to some extremes, especially when we get to the full moon in Leo that is coming up this month. And so slow and steady wins the race, you guys. Pacing ourselves, not being afraid to maybe take a little bit of time out, maybe say no to some of the invitations that are coming our way maybe over the course of the month. And if you feel the need to kind of just isolate, slow down, be a bit more withdrawn and introverted, especially in the beginning of the month, probably a good thing to do, again, because this is just a good period of time to conserve our energy and our resources and even our creativity and stuff like that as well. So we want to rest if we can in the first part of the month, but there's also, it's not just resting, it's also energy that is supporting our ability to just focus on things, to, yes, be more introverted, be more, to ourselves, hold back a bit, but also simultaneously be very productive, get some things done that are just beneficial to us in the context of our daily lives somehow, or streamlining or making certain processes or whatever things we've scheduled, whatever, more efficient and stuff like that. So now let's get into the energy of the month. I'm going to break this report down week by week. We're going to go through each week, talk about the highlights of that week energetically, summarize the energy of the week, and then at the end, we'll kind of give a summary of it all one more time and talk about the important dates, because this is another month where, as I was doing this report, there were specific dates that were jumping off the page at me in terms of periods of time that there could be some big things happening. So I want to give you guys those dates to maybe put on a calendar as well. So let's get into it. As I said, energy does feel kind of low key actually entering the month of January. It is likely to be a busy period of time. I think that people people are going to be, you know, as I was saying, focused on getting things done, getting work done, getting organized, you know, making improvements to things here and there. And hopes are probably going to be pretty high. People are probably going to be, you know, pretty motivated, pretty inspired, feeling pretty good about things. But there is also this vibe of sort of just like needing some quiet time, needing to pull back a little bit, maybe, you know, being more isolated, just being more reserved. And again, I'm talking about, you know, conserve your energy is probably going to benefit you. Very quiet entrance to the new year. However, January 1st is not necessarily the same vibe as the rest of this week. January 1st, we do actually have a lot going on. And of course, January 1st, New Year's Day, this is going to be one of the days throughout the year that we can use as a microcosm for what the entire year might bring us. When we're looking at astrology, you know, natal charts are a big aspect of that. And because according to our Gregorian calendar system, January 1st is the birth of our new year, right? If we look at the energy and the energy present for New Year's Day, it can tell us what the whole year has in store for us on some level, in some capacity. I also like to use the new moon in Aries for this, when the sun and the moon come together in the sign of Aries each year. This is our natural new year, our formal natural new year. So I will do a yearly forecast then as well. And also on the equinoxes and the solstices, I like to use those also because they give us blocks of time. And what's interesting actually about our New Year's Day chart this year, which we're going to talk about, I'm going to spend some extra time talking about the chart for the first week of January, specifically New Year's Day, because it is, again, like one of the opportunities that we have to sort of see the blueprint for the year and get an idea of how things might be unfolding for us generally and the aspects present on the first. I kind of want to go into some more detail as we are moving through our analysis of the first week of January. So we're going to do that, but we do sort of have a lot going on January 1st. And then after January 1st, things really do kind of, in my opinion, like quiet down and slow down just a little bit before we launch forward in this very high octave, like fast-paced, electrified energy that's coming at us at the end of the month. So let's talk about New Year's Day then. To start the day, we have, or to start the year, to start the day, to start the month, to start the year, we have Mercury stationing direct, you guys, which is so interesting to me because if you guys caught my solstice report, I was talking about how I felt like from the winter solstice to the summer solstice, this 6-month period of time that we are moving through right now was going to be very informative on some level. Huge emphasis on information, what we're learning, what we're talking about, like shifts in the way that we're seeing things in such a way that we're kind of like seeing the past through new eyes and changing the way that we are essentially moving through our lives, laying foundations, forming and molding, you know, our experiences moving into the future. For our solstice chart, we had Mercury and the sun in exact alignment at 0 degrees of Capricorn. That was telling me that like for the 6 months of that solstice energy from winter solstice to summer solstice, huge emphasis on new information that is changing something about our perception of the past and our perception of like how we're moving forward. Now come to our New Year's chart, and again, Mercury, the energy of the mind and information and communication and what we're talking about and what we're thinking about in the news and, you know, media and all of that. Once again, front and centered, Mercury stationing direct in the sky on New Year's Day. When a planet stations in its motion, you guys, this amplifies the energy of that planet. When a planet is in a cazimi with the sun, that amplifies the energy of that planet. So for both our solstice chart and our New Year's chart, talking about a 6-month period of time, talking about a year-long period of time, the messenger planet, the mind, okay, somehow information, communication playing a very prominent role in moving things forward somehow and in just the way that things are unfolding. Emphasis on knowledge, information, and communication. And we also need to keep in mind the signs that Mercury is stationing in and the fact that he's stationing in a square to Neptune as well. Mercury is in Sagittarius in a tight conjunction to the galactic center. in a square to Neptune and Pisces. There are likely to be themes of truth versus an illusion, fantasy versus fact, dreams versus reality, like that type of thing playing out somehow throughout the course of this year as well, especially in the context of this mercurial energy and of what we are learning. The Great Awakening, you guys, Uranus is the planet that represents and rules this awakening energy. Awakening from the dream, awakening from a slumber, coming out of some type of hypnosis or some type of spell. I do feel like that is going to be some type of common experience throughout the year. Feeling like we have just been maybe in some sort of like, I don't even know, like funk or disorientation or, like hypnosis or something, and then just snapping out of it. There is likely to be, I will tell you guys throughout the course of this year, there is likely to be, especially with this emphasis on all this mercurial energy, moving into this emphasis on all this Uranian energy, something about like the synapses in our mind, making new connections, like I said, seeing things in a different light, just getting something, like feeling like something is like turned on somehow, like within us or within our mind, like epiphanies, flashes of insight, like sudden downloads that are like eye-opening and mind-blowing and like changing. Like I said, that Sun Mercury 0-degree conjunction in Capricorn for our solstice, changing the way that we're operating, changing our operating systems moving forward. Okay, so there's that. Now, other aspects that we have going on along with our entrance into this year, our New Year's Day energy, we have an exact Venus-Saturn square, and we also have the north node of the moon, the destiny point, moving to quite a precarious location in the zodiac. A very interesting degree that is bringing up some mythology that we're going to need to discuss today, and is also indicating perhaps a time of seriously shifting power dynamics. The end of long orders of power and control and the transition into new power structures generally. Okay, let's talk real quick about the Venus-Saturn square. This energy, Venus and Saturn in square it's kind of like an aloof energy. It can kind of make us feel awkward. It can kind of give us like difficulty relating to others, make us feel like sort of like self-isolating. It is definitely not like a warm, fuzzy, affectionate Venus energy. It's like kind of cold and prickly, holding back love, holding back affection, feeling socially isolated or just like generally alone. Like this is also the type of energy where we may be in a crowd of people, but we feel like we're all alone in the world. It can also have us taking an inventory sort of our friendships or of our relationships and the value that they truly hold for us in our lives. And it can just bring up, like I was saying, this desire to hold back, to withdraw socially, can feel unable to relate to others, and just like on an island by ourselves sort of when we have a Venus square Saturn energy going on, because Saturn limits, right? Saturn restricts. Saturn is like sort of judgmental and like harsh and cold in the square aspect. This is the 90 degrees. And then of course, Venus, this is what we love and affection and desire and stuff like that. So it kind of just like alters our ability to relate to ourselves and relate to others. And it is, though, I will tell you, it is very, very good energy, and this is how we should use it. And this is another reason why I was saying, this week is kind of good to be more self-contained, because self-reflection, introspection, self-analysis, figuring out who we really are and what we really want, relational maturity can be gained in this energy as well. So, this is indicating perhaps a period, a week, or a year of more of this like quiet time, solitude type energy. But I'm telling you, Saturn is also like the great instructor, has like a ton of wisdom and will teach us something very important that improves our relationships somehow in the long term. This is energy where, we may be questioning what makes us comfortable comfortable, what we want, what we're comfortable with. This is also brings up things to do with boundaries, because Saturn is all about boundaries in relationships and stuff. We may really just feel like walling ourselves off for one reason or other, but I'm telling you, if that is the vibe, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't get down on yourself. This is an important period of time over the course of this next year, over the course of this month, for us to mature. This is a maturation type of energy, for us to mature in the context of what it is that we value, get a much greater understanding of what we truly want, so that the relationships in our lives will be more solid, will be more rewarding and fulfilling moving forward into this new energy and this new phase of our lives that we are rocketing towards throughout the course of this month, and we're going to be talking more about as we move through this report. So we've got that going on as well. And then this last energy that is prominent to me for our New Year's Day is the North Node. Like I said, the destiny point in the sign of Aries right now, coming to 21 degrees of Aries, which is known as the Eris point. It's actually the point in the sky where the planet Eris was discovered. And with the North Node moving to that degree for New Year's Day, to me, this is energetically significant. It's bringing up past patterning. It's bringing up mythology that could hold some type of significance. And I honestly would not be surprised if this year, this 2024 year, begins a 10-year process of transitioning power structures and power dynamics on a global level, okay? Now, why am I saying this? Well, I'm saying this because we're talking about the North Node hitting the Eris point on New Year's Day of this year. And if we are looking at this in the context of the natal chart of the year, we got to talk about Eris, you guys. We need to talk about the Eris point. First of all, the Sabian symbol associated with the Eris point, 21 degrees of Aries, is a boxer entering the ring. So you can extract meaning from that as you will, but I feel like the mythology is actually more significant in terms of what this particular placement at this particular point in time might actually be indicating. And so let's talk about the Eris mythology, for a minute. Eris is associated with discord, Eris is associated with strife, Eris is associated with volatility, but Eris is also associated ultimately with things and people and situations showing their true colors. Eris in the mythology throws this apple of discord, which creates this battle among goddesses, essentially, that eventually leads to the 10-year Trojan War and the fall of Troy, which was a 4,000-year empire and laid the groundwork and the foundation for the birth of the Roman Empire. Okay? So when we're talking about at this point in time, the North Node, the destiny point, aligning with the Eris point for the beginning of our new year, when we know that we've got Pluto about to enter the sign of Aquarius, Uranus about to station direct, and all the signs are pointing to the shift of the ages, the fact that the destiny point is aligning with the Eris point, which ultimately represents the fall of Troy. I feel like there is something of significance that we can understand from understanding what this alignment is referencing and referring to in a historical context, okay? So this year, there could be something about true colors being exposed in some type of a way, seeing things for what they really are, and ultimately ugly truths being exposed that usher in some type of era of great change affecting power dynamics on geopolitical global levels. Okay, so there's that. Other than those things, the big energy that we really have coming in on the 1st, which I do feel like actually is one of the most prominent energetic days of the month, it is a pretty quiet week, okay? The Venus squares Saturn. We want to stay focused, work hard, be productive. We also have Mars entering Capricorn the first week of January as well, which is more of this energy that is focusing our energy, that is supporting concentration, building, being productive, putting our energy into things that are like supporting our goals somehow. All right, so that's really what I feel like we're looking at generally this first week. There really isn't too much to report after that first day of January, but the first day of January is saying quite a bit in terms of what this whole year could really be about on a greater level. And it is also because of the emphasis on Mercury, right? It is likely to be a busy period of time. Mercury stationing direct. This could be giving us clarity. We could be getting some good ideas, but again, you know, maybe not super extroverted, focusing on the task at hand. Going to be the best way to use this energy the first week. Now let's talk about the second week. The second week is hosting some big energy as well. We have our new moon in the sign of Capricorn that is happening on January 11th, 111. So that's actually a huge day, and we've got big numerology to talk about on the 11th as well. The 9th is, you know, you may want to put that day on your calendar. I don't particularly love the energy of the 9th. We have Mercury and Neptune coming back into third exact square with one another, and the moon is going to be an exact conjunction with Mercury as well while squaring Neptune. You're really going to want to make sure that you're paying attention to everything, details, driving, and the energy of the 9th. It's just sort of like a day where nothing's making sense, like people aren't paying attention. You could feel sort of like dazed and confused and like lost and, you know, a sea of overwhelm somehow. So the 9th is one of the days this month where I'm just like, the energy feels a little bit, I don't know, like foggy, and just want to maybe give yourself some extra time and just make sure that you're being like very clear with everything to the best of your ability on the 9th. The 11th, you guys, that is the new moon in Capricorn. It's exactly square to the nodes of the moon, while the north node is at the Eris point, the point in the sky that I just finished talking about, okay? We also have an exact Venus Chiron trine. We also have an exact Mars Jupiter trine with Saturn actually as the midpoint of the Mars Jupiter trine, and Mercury still in a square to Neptune. And the new moon in Capricorn is also in a trine to Uranus. We are moving in. It's going to be a very unusual month, especially the second week, moving into the third week, moving into the fourth week. Once we get past the first week, things are really like gearing up, and you might just feel like things are getting a bit strange. If you feel like that, they're going to get stranger. You haven't seen anything yet. The 9th too, that day that I was talking about that I was like, I don't really love this energy. That's also a very weird day. The 10th is a weird day. The 11th, this is totally, you know, a new moon happening in a trine to Uranus. That on one hand is telling us that things are being put right, you guys. We are being put right on track to make our entrance into the Age of Aquarius in divine alignment in accordance with the galactic blueprint as it unfolds right now. But it could be happening in some very unexpected, unanticipated ways. Very significant day, okay, on the 11th. And then on the 14th, we also have Mercury entering the sign of Capricorn, which is adding even more of this very like focused, concentrated, like working towards something, mind on my money, like focused on my goals type of energy that we have going on, but also, you know, more of a reserved, quiet energy, taking things more seriously. It's so weird. There's like a really wild energy, really like erratic, electrified energy going on this month, but there's also like quite a serious tone to things. So it'll be interesting to see how that manifests in the reality. Week 2 though, you know, to summarize this energy, obviously this is a very significant week with this new moon in Capricorn playing out in the square to the nodes. This is, you know, coming to a crossroads, like on a fated type of level. This is like fated growth, okay, taking place. This is also a cardinal cycle. Capricorn is a cardinal sign, you guys, you know, like I always talk about, the cardinal signs, these are the action-oriented phases. This is when things are happening, okay? This is also likely throwing it back to our new moon in Cancer. That was the polarity of this energy that we had in July. We also had a grand cross in cardinal signs playing out with the nodes of the moon for that new moon cycle. So there could definitely be some connection going on between things that happened in July with the new moon in Cancer and this new moon in Capricorn that's coming up, because this one is in an exact T-square with the nodes of the moon. All right, so it's initiating a new phase of action in some way that is breaking us through into a new phase of growth in life generally somehow. So it's hugely impactful, this new moon that we have coming up in the sign of Capricorn. Very action oriented cycle and phase of the year, and you're going to want to stay tuned for that new moon video because it's going to be big. Week 2 is, you know, as I was saying, likely to be a weird week, unusual week. There's Neptune squares. We've got that Mercury Neptune energy going on. That makes things weird. We've got the sun moving into a trine with Uranus as well. As I said, our new moon itself is in a trine to Uranus, not exact, but very close. And we've also got this Mercury entering Capricorn energy, which is making things seem more serious. Mars does trine also Jupiter this week, the second week, week 2 in Earth signs though, which is exact for the new moon. As I mentioned earlier, this is very high energy to do and accomplish things, but Mars is in the sign of Capricorn, Mercury enters Capricorn. It's like we may be very like hyper focused on, like I said, you know, the task at hand, getting the job done, any work that you need to do. Like this is just a very good and supportive time for success in whatever you're putting your work, your energy, and your effort into, okay? Accomplishing things generally. But it's still, I have to say, Mercury is still in the square to Neptune, which is just this super annoying energy that's been sort of plaguing all of the good things that Jupiter has been trying to expand and bring into our lives over this past couple of weeks. Jupiter is like the great benefic and like expands things and brings like good luck and good fortune and success and positivity and growth and abundance. But we've had simultaneously these Mercury Neptune squares going on, or the Mars Neptune squares, or the Sun Neptune squares, and we've got squares to Neptune. Like things aren't as they seem, like things don't come into full fruition, like nothing manifests, everything sort of like, you know, it looks great and the vision is wonderful, but it doesn't have like any like footing in real reality, or there's like a level of deception or confusion or fantasy about something, and it makes it like very, very hard to trust or take seriously like whatever the Jupiter energy seems to be presenting is like this bonus in our lives right now. So it's like either we're not taking what looks good right now seriously, we aren't taking, you know, the value or the potential of things seriously, doubting the reality of things, or we're super delusional about the value of things and kind of viewing them through a very strong lens of inflation or like inflated value or inflated growth potential. So like in some way, when we've got Neptune squares going on, our judgment is skewed in terms of good things that are happening, either for, you know, we're not taking them seriously enough, or we're taking them way too seriously and we're just really seeing things through rose-colored glasses somehow. So that's like really all weird too. Be super, super, super careful with investments and commitments and purchases. With the Mars-Jupiter trine, there's likely to be like big passion and big motivation and like confidence and faith and belief and trust in ourselves, and like it inflates the ego, you guys, like thinking that we know it all and thinking that we're untouchable, you know, thinking that we're invincible. And like, of course we're going to make the right choice about things, but just please be very careful, because I don't like the Mercury square to Neptune. There's a very strong emphasis on assets, resources, value, material, tangible goods, stuff like that, money generally. And this, it makes me think of overcommitting, over agreeing through maybe perhaps, and again, this like inflated sense of value that we're seeing something through, or even in terms of like our own energy levels, our own capabilities, our own ability to like accomplish things, you know. Like I said, it inflates the ego. It inflates our energy levels. And we truly can accomplish more than usual when we have Mars in a trine to Jupiter, because we do have the vision, and we do have the energy, and we do have the willpower, and we do have the courage and the strength and the motivation. Like, if there's a challenge that you need to conquer, Mars trine Jupiter is really going to support you in a successful outcome in that process. But it can also make us like overestimate our energy levels, overestimate our abilities, overestimate our power, or our capabilities, or, you know, just the energy that we're going to have to get something done. So we don't want to make promises or make commitments or sign on the dotted line about something that requires our physical energy, us to physically do something, if we're not necessarily perceiving ourselves in terms of like what we can actually do when this energy is cleared, and we're maybe not feeling so on top of our game, you know what I mean? So just be very, very, very careful over committing the second week of January. We should, though, generally still be experiencing, like I said, greater than normal levels of vitality, growth, and also forward momentum. Again, like perhaps to the point where we're trusting things too much, or maybe things are looking so good that we're like it's just like unbelievable that like that could actually be real, type of thing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Okay, so let's move on now. Let's talk about week 3. Week 3 is an epic week in its nature, in its signature. It is, in my opinion, the end of an era and the birth of a new reign of power, featuring collective consciousness and the collective awareness of humanity. Also futuristic technological innovations are going to start being birthed in the energy, I think, this third week of January. Also, we are likely to see, moving forward throughout the course of this year and into the future over the course of the next 20 years, a greater focus and emphasis and attraction to, okay, the stars and the skies, outer space, life outside of our planet, outside of our, you know, our world, our galaxy, expanding into the cosmos, expanding into the universe, and our universal understanding, sort of in the growth of that, honestly, as like a power source moving us forward. The age of Aquarius. This is an age of knowledge. This is an age of understanding and co-creation as a result of that. The reason why I personally feel that this month, when Pluto enters this time, this is our, you know, energetic entrance, is because of where we're at in the lunar cycle that we're in now, and what is happening as Pluto enters the sign of Aquarius. Pluto is not just entering Aquarius. Pluto is entering Aquarius in a conjunction with the sun. Pluto is traveling with the sun from 29 degrees of Capricorn to 0 degrees of Aquarius. It's honestly like amazing and mind-blowing to me that, you know, there's one day a year that the sun enters the sign of Aquarius, right? There's 365 days in our year. The chances of Pluto moving to 0 degrees of Aquarius after like 15 years of being in Capricorn happening on the one day of the year that the sun also is moving into the sign of Aquarius, that's to me like beyond, you know, random, beyond coincidence. And it's like a code activating, you know, a frequency activating, like a charge, you know what I mean? That to me is like igniting the death and rebirth transformative component of the Capricornian energy in the context of leaving Capricorn, moving into Aquarius, and this pending age of Aquarius is coming up. And then when we bring into it that just a couple of days later, Uranus ruling the sign of Aquarius also stations direct in the sky, and we have this extremely amplified Uranian energy because of Uranus's station, while Pluto is discharging 0 Aquarius, which is also huge power of 0 Aquarius, the full force of the Aquarian energy. It's like a blast. And then the sun is right there too, like highlighting, illuminating, sparking this, okay? That to me is why I'm looking at this particular Pluto, you know, this particular week, okay, as the catalytic moment that spurs us forth into this new age and this new energy that has been foretold for so long. And that, you know, and I'm sure, you know, everybody disagrees on when this point in time is, but just for me, in terms of the way that I interpret energy, like this looks like it. And when we pull it back and we look at everything else that's been going on over this past couple years and everything that is coming up, I just like, to me, this is us energetically stepping over the line. Like I said, it's like that light code being activated. It's like gears in a clock turning, and like when certain alignments come into, you know, click together, you know, in the midst of all of the endless possibilities of like aspects and transits and connections and stuff, when those gears turn just right and those alignments happen like in just such a way, it's like it creates this, I don't know, like electromagnetic reaction or something. And again, like I do feel like this, as above, so below, we are likely to feel something spark within us as well over this coming week, this, you know, this third week. It's likely to be a weird week. The rest of this month of January could be very bizarre. And when I say very bizarre, I mean like the type of stuff that we don't have, like hyper novelty, okay? This concept of hyper novelty, things that we don't necessarily have a past historical reference for, or that, you know, are just innovative and revolutionary and new. That's another thing. Revolution is like huge when we're talking about very strong Aquarian energy, rebellion, okay? But Aquarius, Uranus, this is the energy. Uranus is the galactic fixer. Uranus puts things right. Right now, in order to put things right, anything that has been blocking organic growth in alignment with the cosmic blueprint that is ushering us forward into this new ultimate golden age, as we come back into a greater alignment with the galactic center, like I always talk about, that is what is being destroyed in this energy. We've got emphasis on Pluto, you know, leaving Capricorn, moving into a sign of Aquarius. Pluto is death and rebirth, destruction and creation, Phoenix energy, okay? And that is also likely to be a very, very prominent theme throughout the entire course of this year. So very, very, all week, sorry, I'm like stumbling over my words. I'm getting ahead of myself. Whenever we are at the point of time during the year where the sun is building into a conjunction with Pluto, this is always going to be a more intense time of year, because Pluto is power in all of its forms. It's a very intense energy. And then we put the sun there. You know, this is sort of like the heights of intensity. It can bring up real power struggles and stuff like that. And when we have this going on in the context of this shift of signs, and let it be known, you guys, the sun usually only conjuncts Pluto for 1 day a year. Standard how it happens. This year, because of how this is lining up, the like magically oriented nature of this, the sun and Pluto will conjoin each other for 2 days this year. That is because they actually, it's more like 3 days. From the 19th through the 21st, the sun and Pluto are traveling together. That never happens. The only reason why that is happening is because Pluto comes to the very last minute of the degree of Capricorn. When the sun hits the last degree of Capricorn, Pluto then ticks to 0 degrees of Aquarius, and the next day the sun moves to 0 degrees of Aquarius, and then they sort of carry that out over the course of the next, it takes between the 19th and the 21st for them to, they're in a conjunction through that period of time. So it'll be like later in the day in the 19th until early in the day on the 21st. But we do have a 2-day period of time where the sun and Pluto are moving together. And again, for me as an astrologer, like, it's very incredible how this particular alignment is coming together, and how Pluto and the sun are traveling together from Capricorn to the sign of Aquarius. So shifting vibrationally all week, you guys, into this new era of human existence and conscious awareness that will unfold over the course of the next 2,000 years and act as the bridge from like the dark to the light. This is what is ushering us into the new golden age of humanity. It's not that the age of Aquarius is this new golden age. That's not the way I'm perceiving it in terms of like the grand cycles of time, but it's this era, this Aquarian age that's coming in right now that is acting as the bridge from these darker ages that we're coming out of, where humanity was disempowered and detached from the energy of the galactic center, moving us forth into the new golden age energy where humanity, as we come back into alignment with the galactic center and are able to receive the emanations and, you know, get back in alignment with the greater spiritual truths of our reality and our cosmos and all of that. This age of Aquarius is what is spurring us forth into that point at like throughout this grand cycle of time in this 26,000 grand year. Okay. So very, it's a very, very significant week. You know, and a lot of times like I question myself because time and space, you know, it's like endless, and it always goes on, and like wherever we're at is just a drop in a bucket in an ocean, you know what I mean? And so for me to be sitting here at this point in time, be like, oh, like these are the epic days, you know, when we think about these grand unfolding cycles of times and like thousands and thousands and thousands of years, like it seems a little bit silly, but like honestly, like I was thinking about, you know, like if any astrologer were to map, you know, the history, the recorded history that we have, or, you know, it's not even that, the star patterns going back thousands and thousands of years up until where we're at now, I do feel like we would go through periods of time where you could see energetically like, okay, this is an epicenter of change. This is a period of time where big things are going to happen. This is a period of time where big things are going to happen. And there may literally be like hundreds of years in between those like epicenter periods of time. And I literally like, it just seems like where we're at right now is one of those like epicenter periods of time where big changes happen, and that's just what's being indicated on an energetic level. So I'm trying to, you know, fit it all together and, you know, put the pieces in place and see how it all works, and it just seems like the gears are turning in such a way that is just like activating things right now that is priming us for some type of evolution cosmically. All right. So I feel like it's a big week, a big month, a big year. And I do feel like I say this, like I feel like history will reflect the energetic significance of the time we're in right now when all is said and done, when the future proves the past. Okay, so anyways, week 3, we were looking at the 19th through the 21st. We need to put a big exclamation point on those dates. There are just likely to be some big things going on during that period of time when the sun is in a conjunction with Pluto, and Pluto is entering Aquarius. We also have Mercury in an exact trine to Jupiter, expanding our mind, expanding our vision, expanding our understanding. It's going to be interesting, you guys. I'm very interested to see what comes as we get through this 3rd week, but there's just likely to be something that is very powerful, revealing, innovative, futuristic. I don't know, you guys. But it's a big week, okay? Let's talk about the last week, closing out the month of January. We've got another set of big days that are coming through this last week. On the 23rd, we have Venus entering the sign of Capricorn, so there's going to be a bit of an energetic shift going on there, but we've got so much shifting energy going on throughout the month of January that we probably won't even notice it that palpably. On the 25th, we've got a full moon in Leo that is in a square to Jupiter exactly. This is energy, okay, where we are again like going to want to try to keep a lid on things. It's like there's just going to be a tendency for things to be taken too far, like forcing growth. Also, we don't want to do that as we move through this energy, but things are likely to be very passionate, very fiery, very heated. And again, like with this square to Jupiter, there's likely to be, you know, this like inflated sense of things, generally sense of self or sense of, you know, optimism or sense of value. So we're going to want to be careful not to overdo it as this full moon in Leo comes in on the 25th. Okay. Now the 25th, I'll tell you guys, the 25th through the 28th. This is another 4-day period where who knows, but there could be some significant or some big things happening. Of course, you know, we've got the full moon on the 25th in a square to Jupiter, and the full moon is the energetic high point each month as it is, the climax, and then that is being amplified by this Jupiterian energy. We've got on the 26th, Mars and Mercury in an exact conjunction in a trine to Uranus and a square to the nodes. The last week of the month of January, that is a major dimension of the energy, a square between Mars and Mercury, or no, a conjunction between Mars and Mercury that is in square to the nodes of the moon, destiny and karma, the past and the future, and also in a trine to Uranus. So there could, this is indicating, you know, this last week of January, shocking information. Like people could literally be shocking you with what's coming out of their mouth, and it could definitely impact the choices and decisions that you feel motivated to make moving forward. Passion and growth, huge theme for the full moon in Leo and also the last week of January. And then on the 27th, you guys, Uranus stations direct in the sky with Mars and Mercury in a trine. On one hand, this is brilliant ideas, flashes of insight, sudden inspiration, sudden epiphanies, sudden awakenings, suddenly getting it, snapping out of something. People could literally be spontaneously like snapping out of some type of haze or like daydream state. This is like the mental synapses, okay, getting some type of spark in an amplified way, all right, electrifying the mind somehow. Very, very, very fast-paced things happening, electrified energy as we move through this last week. Something very unexpected, messages, communications, shock factor, things, you know, not going as planned, just a very, very strange, weird, unusual energy. And then on the 28th, we have this Mars-Mercury conjunction in the trine to Uranus, an exact square to the nodes, and we have a grand trine in Earth signs that is forming, and we've got Saturn influence going on, and we've got Mars coming into exact trine with Uranus as well as we move through the week. The last week, you guys, passions are likely to be running super high, big faded information, huge things happening, also things happening that could be like limits to like growth or expansion somehow. There could be some type of like rules or regulations or like things to do with like government or authority that are trying to impose some type of restrictions going on this last week. But you know, with Mercury and Mars in a conjunction all week, in the context also of Uranus stationing, and that's happening in a trine to Uranus, tempers are probably flaring. People are going to be talking, thinking, and acting fast, perhaps quite recklessly or spontaneously. You're going to be, as I said, perhaps shocked or surprised by what people are talking about, what's coming out of people's mouths. Things are likely to be very abnormal, very unusual, mind-blowing, nerve-frazzling, like system-frying type of vibes that we've got going on for sure. Extreme overstimulation. Very, very possible the last week of January. And that's why I was saying, you know, as we start this month, yes, January 1st is sort of a busy day, but we got the Venus-Saturn square. We've got Mars entering Capricorn. It's just a good time not to overexert ourselves. And we do not, the second week, want to overextend ourselves or overcommit or overpromise in a way that really requires a lot of our energy or a lot of our time or a lot of like our motivation or stuff like that, our strength, you know what I mean? Because as we move through the third and specifically the fourth week of this month, life may be taking that energy out of us for another reason that is totally out of our control or totally hits us out of left field, something we weren't expecting. This is also energy that makes me, you know, it's like breakaway energy. People could be like running away from things, like just deciding to suddenly change the direction that they're going in. I don't know, very, very impulsive, spontaneous energy. And a lot of people are not going to be thinking things through. A lot of people are going to be reacting, perhaps based on anger or based on passion or just sort of an impulse that hits them and just like poof, taking off, okay? So yeah, I don't really know what else to say besides conserve your energy this month, because by the end of the month you may be just totally spinning. Energy is again this month extremely high, and things could be quite inflated somehow, but the Uranian influence is definitely likely to be making an impact. High anxiety, sudden change, unexpected news or conflict perhaps. With Jupiter in the square to the full moon though, like conflict does have a successful outcome, positive outcome. There is something beneficial to be gained by conflicts that we have to face throughout the course of this month, or at least throughout the course of the full moon in Leo cycle. And we know that because it's in a square to Jupiter. Squares are conflict. Jupiter is success, productive, positive, beneficial outcomes. So there may be, you know, and with Mars and Mercury, this could be verbal conflicts. There may be some conflicts that go on that somehow do have some type of positive outcome. Things may seem very extreme, very unpredictable, very unstable. And this can also be accident prone energy, you guys. We want to slow down, especially in like states of anger or states of passion. This is you know, things can get very carried away. We can like act without thinking, like very impulsively. So try your best not to do that. Try your best to think before you speak, think before you act, and, you know, don't overcommit if you can help it. Pay attention to everything. Brilliant though, you guys. Whenever we're dealing with Mercury and Uranus energy coming together as we are this last week with Mercury, Mars, and the trine to Uranus, this is like super, super, super brilliant energy, unbelievable, like genius level energy, genius level insights, ideas, innovation, sudden epiphanies, like I've been saying, you know, instant clarity, instant knowing, advancing science and technology, inventions. This is the quintessential mad scientist vibe, okay? Mercury and Mars together in a trine to Uranus, Nikola Tesla energy, mad scientist archetype. That's another dimension that we really have strong this last week of January. Things are likely to be overblown, over-exaggerated, or overvalued though, but we have arrived at the tipping point, you guys, at the turning point. 2024 is going to be a wild ride. Things are never going to be the same after this, but they're not going to be the same in a good way. Now, just because I'm saying they're not going to be the same in a good way doesn't mean that we won't have to sort of go through the ring of fire or the dark night of the soul to come out on the other side. This is, you know, endings and beginnings. This is destruction and creation. This is shifting power dynamics on a global level, but it's, you know, it's the downfall and it's the laying of new foundations, right? It's the downfall of the Trojan Empire, but the preparation for the birth of the Roman Empire, okay? Like the North Node at the Eris point for January 1st, Pluto into Aquarius, sorry, Uranus direct. The times, they are changing, you guys, and the matrix is collapsing. So Welcome to the Great Awakening. That's what I'm going to say, you guys. Let's talk about the major dates. As I said, the 1st, January 1st, Mercury direct, Venus squaring Saturn, North Node hits the Aries point. On the 9th, this is that day where I'm like, not so much. You know, not a big deal, but just make sure you're double checking everything, paying attention. The 11th, the new moon in Capricorn square the nodes. This is a huge point. The 19th through the 20th, Sun, Pluto conjunction. Pluto enters Aquarius, huge. And then the 25th through the 28th, we've got our full moon. We've got Mercury and Mars in a conjunction, square the nodes and trining Uranus, and we've got Uranus stationing direct in the sky. Uranus in Aquarius, major flavors moving forward now throughout the course of 2024. So that's what it's looking like, you guys. I'm gonna get a synchronicity card for us. Let's see if there's a message that God's spirit universe has for us that we should keep in mind and apply to our month and perhaps even to this 2024 year. We have one popping out. It's your attitude. It says, "Straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it." Matthew 7:14. The only way you can alter outer conditions is to change your mental attitude. For harmony, peace, prosperity, and health to enter your life, you must fill your subconscious with the understanding that all harmony, peace, abundance, and security is yours right now. And as I said, you know, we're in a solstice period, 6-month period of coming to, you know, perhaps some different understandings about things that are changing the way that we are operating within our reality, that we're constructing our reality on a mental level moving forward. We've got a new year that is featuring Mercury direct energy, emphasizing that as well. And this message is talking specifically about our mental attitudes, our mindsets, our mental frames, and our perspectives as well. And perhaps, you know, maybe some ways that we will be learning to deal with our own mental energy to promote our success and our growth moving forward throughout the course of this year. Okay, for harmony, peace, prosperity, and health to enter your life, you must fill your subconscious with the understanding that all harmony, peace, abundance, and security is yours right now. So that's the message, you guys. That's what I have to say for this month of January for our New Year 2024. It's looking like a big one, and I am so grateful that you guys are here with me on this ride, and we got a whole year of narrating the shift of the ages. This one's going to be very interesting, and I urge you all to come along with me. So that's what I'm going to say, you guys. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends if you think that they would be interested in narrating the shift of the ages with us. Leave me comments, you guys. Your experiences and what you share with me is very, very valuable to me, and I really appreciate your feedback and your comments, and when you let me know how the energy out there is affecting you. If you're having experiences that match up with what I'm talking about as I'm going through these daily reports, please let me know in my comment section below. I have a Facebook group where I post these whiteboard messages, and come back with me, you guys, on Wednesday. We're gonna have more astrology to talk about, and we are really kicking this month of January off, and I'm gonna be here to talk about it with you, so you should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I'll be back, guys. I will see you next time. Have a beautiful New Year's Day. Happy New Year, everyone, and until then, bye, guys.